This time on Film Ranker, we are looking at the top 10 high school movies. Great thing about high school movies is it's a shared frame of reference. We have all been there, and it's messy and awkward and earnest and a fantastic fodder for films. This list could have easily gone to 20, so your favorite may not have made the cut, but if these movies teach us anything, high school is not for the weak. So let's count down the top 10. Number 10, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It feels weird to start this list with a movie that is specifically about not being in school, but as we all know, the days we play hooky are as much, if not more, a part of the high school experience. The amazing thing about Ferris Bueller is how it works on so many levels. On the surface, it's a movie about having fun and breaking rules, but there is really a lot of depth to Cameron's character and the depression that Ferris is trying to break him out of. The juxtaposition has even led a few to suggest that Ferris is actually Cameron's wish fulfillment, sort of like a singing and dancing Tyler Durden. Number 9, Carrie. High school can be a nightmare, and that has never been more brutally captured than it is in this Stephen King adaptation. We all cringe when we think of the famous bucket of blood scene, and the fire in the gym still makes my hair stand up. Sissy Spacek is phenomenal as the victim who gets her revenge on her bullies both in school and at home. There have been a lot of horror movies set in high school, but none as iconic as Carrie. Number 8, Grease. There have been a lot of musicals based in high schools, but none have beat the old school classic. Danny, Sandy, Rizzo, and the rest of the gang at Rydell High have been at the top of the musical heap since this film's release in 1978. And more than 40 years later, kids are still singing Summer Nights and learning how to hand jive. Number 7, Clueless. Much like its main character, Clueless is a lot smarter than it seems on the surface. The loose retelling of Jane Austen's Emma acts like a dumb teen movie, but it has a sneaky depth that slowly unfolds, which is partly due to some surprisingly good acting. This is without a doubt Alicia Silverstone's career-defining performance, as well as the movie that vaulted Paul Rudd into the spotlight. Number 6, Dazed and Confused. Richard Linklater's film about the last day of school is a crash course in how to interweave multiple storylines. The usual ingredients of any high school movie are all here. The jocks, the bullies, the nerds, the mean girls, the stoners, which in this case is kind of everyone. But because it's in the 70s and Linklater is behind the camera, it all feels a lot cooler than the competition. And you leave the theater with at least a bit of that buzz you only get when your night lasts until sunrise. Number 5, Superbad. If you were a nerdy boy in the 90s, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg's semi-autobiographical story is probably gonna ring pretty true, which is partly because they started writing it when they were actually in high school. Yes, it is raunchy, but in this honest and earnest way that only teens who only half know what they're talking about can deliver. It also helps that Michael Cera and Jonah Hill are the leads. Number 4, Mean Girls. One of the best high school movies ever made comes from former SNL and 30 Rock head writer Tina Fey. The setup is genius in its simplicity. An outsider goes to high school for the first time, and we see the absurdity of all of it through her eyes. It's smart and dark and really funny. This is one of those rare films that is super popular, but still feels like a cult classic. Number 3, Heathers. There wouldn't have been a Mean Girls without Heathers. It is the darkest comedy on this list, and it is fantastic. Heathers features both Winona Ryder and Christian Slater at their highest of high points, taking down the queen bees by killing them and making it look like suicide. It was the sort of thing that could only be made in the 80s, and thankfully, it was. Number 2, The Breakfast Club. John Hughes was the official voice of 1980s teen movies, and The Breakfast Club is the best example of his mastery of the genre. We all know the plot, and we all know the cast, because it's one of those films that is tied into the fabric of our culture. It's a microcosm of school life told over one day of Saturday detention, and it's tightly written, well acted, and pleasingly cathartic. Number 1, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. While Breakfast Club is the microcosm, Fast Times is the big picture. Breakfast Club is the idealized what if, but Fast Times is the terrifying truth from every angle. It's teen pregnancy, cutting class to get stoned under the bleachers, and getting caught with your pants down by the girl you like. Stacy, Spicoli, Mike, Mark, Brad, Charles Jefferson, we all know these people. We were these people. We lived this. Part of the reason that this movie feels so real is that it kind of is. It was all written about Cameron Crowe's actual experiences as he was posing as a high school student. And that's it. I no doubt missed a bunch of your favorites. Heck, I missed a bunch of my favorites. Sorry, Class of 1984 and Edge of 17. So please, drop those in the comments section, and on your way, maybe like and subscribe or check out some other vids from the channel. And hopefully, I will see you all next time.